Recently found out wife cheated 10 years ago and I can't look at her the same way. Cross-posting this from R. Cheated on. I've been married for 6 years. It wasn't picture perfect, but I did love my wife very much. We have built a good life and we both put in a lot of effort to make it. Doing some cleaning about a year ago, I found an old cell phone. Thinking it was mine, I charged it to see if I could find some old music and found out it was my wife's. I'm not the jealous type and still don't know why I did this, but I started reading text messages from 2012 and found some that I never would have expected. By piecing a bunch of texts together, I figured out that she another guy while on a work trip, while we were still dating, then made a few more work trips back to the same location at least 2 more times that summer. I confronted her about it and she claimed to not remember anything. I offered for her to read the texts on the phone, which she did and then came clean. According to her, it was a one-time thing and the other trips were strictly work-related. She offered for me to go through her Facebook messages, etc., on the spot. We stayed up for hours each night over the next week talking about it and our relationship in general, and I forgave and agreed to move on. That didn't work, so I began to see a therapist without any improvement. What kills me is, from reading the texts, there's no way it was just one. Deleted all of the texts between the two of them, so there was clearly intent to bury it and never tell. Was texting her friends about it. How I figured it out. Now I am embarrassed that they knew about it behind my back and even more disgusted with them for encouraging it. I refuse to associate with any of them anymore, or even acknowledge them for that. Maintained contact with this guy on social media for years afterwards, even hit him up for work leads when we were thinking about moving down there after we got. Showed minimal remorse and never truly owned it. In my intrusive thoughts about him together consumed me and ate me alive for months, until I turned it into disdain and disgust towards my wife. I am desperate to do anything in order to not to throw away the last 10 years, but on the same hand, I probably would have walked away by now if it wasn't for our children. I 100% would have walked if I had found out when it happened. We have built an amazing life together and I feel like the last 10 years have been a lie. I was planning on growing old with her and now I can't even look at her without feeling contempt. I think my relationship with my wife is out beyond. I'm planning on bringing it up again this weekend and I'm not looking forward to it, nor do I expect it to go well. At this point I'm pretty sure we're done, but I would still like to understand the why behind the infidelity to get closure. I suspect that the answer is that some people are just selfish pieces of.
Start with one fact: your wife will lie to the extent your knowledge allows her. She lied when you had evidence. You found one instance by happenstance on an old forgotten phone. If you're a rational man, what are the odds this is the only thing that happened in a decade of unrepentance and lies? Start your conversation with this bombshell: you're getting the paternity of your kids tested. Tell her that forgetting a physical affair means she puts no weight on betraying your marriage. If you want her to talk, you need to preface the conversation that she should spend the first part of it explaining why you should believe a word she says when every bit of evidence suggests she lies as easily as breathing. Tell her you don't think the way to trust is rooted through you ignoring yes, there are no other whys than selfishness. You know that old joke about why dogs lick their genitals? It's because they can.
I suspect she won't give you closure. Your true closure will come from her real lack of remorse and recognizing this is simply her character flaw, that she is incapable of empathy. Being able to brag about it is a pretty eye-opening tell. As your marriage likely ends, if those friends she bragged with are still around, be sure to reach out to their partners and be clear why your marriage ends and how their partners were complicit in it.
You went to therapy, but did your wayward wife? She should have here because she is the one that committed the act of infidelity and she needed to figure out her whys then and now too. And her lack of remorse, even when it happened, years ago, to a betrayed partner when they first discover it all, it's like it happened yesterday. You were never given full disclosure at the time it happened. You continued the relationship and married her without knowledge of her infidelity, which as you stated above, would have ended the relationship then. And had it ended then, you wouldn't have the children or the life you have, so that is deceptive on your WW's part here. Of course you are feeling as you do here, and of course therapy didn't help you here. She has done nothing to help you. You don't think your children feel or know that you are resentful and hold contempt towards their mother? They do. They just don't know why. Kids are very perceptive. It's far better to raise children in two separate homes than a home that is internally broken and parents are resentful towards one another. We have numerous adult and not so adult, but very mature, kids who post here and wish their parents had divorced, ended their relationships rather than stayed together for the kids. It them up even more. What your wayward wife did and you too, rug swept it all. And your therapist? Shouldn't be one, because they should have outlined all that for you too.
This is the prime example of what trickle truth looks like at start. She first denies all, then admits no more than she thinks she can get away with. That is why you cannot let go. You know that there is more untold.
First, sorry, but you should do a DNA test for your kids, and an STD is a classic case of sunk cost you don't know. The principle to make it simple: the boat is sinking, you can't do nothing to stop it, but yet because you invested so much in it, you will try everything you can to save it or at least delay it. But the logical man would save what he can and leave the boat before he drowns. Would you say you want to stay for the kids? And it sounds good on paper, but it's not. What kids need isn't quantity, it's quality. It doesn't matter if you spend hours with them if you don't show them a good role model. A dad can do far more by spending a quality weekends with his kids and talking to them than spending a week just being around them in the house and not really. Let me tell you how important it is to set a good role model for your kids. I saw kids with divorced parents and kids with parents that should have divorced, and you don't want the latter. People who grow up with a up relationship as role model end up in a up relationship. Either they become a up or someone a up will take advantage of them. It's better to show them a dad that can love and respect himself and make the right decision even if it's hard, so they can do the. If it happened to your kids, would you want him to stay in an unhappy relationship or not?
If you guys share a phone account, you could try to get phone records for as far back as they allow and see if there are numbers you don't recognize and at what frequency unknown numbers were called, texted. Before confronting her again, I would try to find any more evidence you can that she's not being honest. Otherwise she will just gaslight you like she did on your first D-Day. I don't think you did yourself any favors by just sweeping this under the rug when you initially found out. I am willing to guess it was discussed amongst her friend group.
You married her based on a lie. Your whole relationship is based on a why this is bothering you. Even if she has never done anything again. The fact of the matter is that you likely wouldn't have married her or even continued a relationship with her if you knew about stole the past 10 years of your life. That would drive me mental. There's no way I could stay with someone like that. There is no way she married you loving you carrying that secret. There's no way she loves you now while asking you to. If she truly loved you, she'd be the last person in the world she'd want you to be. It's never one time and one time only. Not only did she continue to cheat on you with this guy, I virtually guarantee there have been others. It was only one affair years ago and I've never done it since, is just a fairy tale they spin to try to keep you dude. It's time to cut the cord here and go, with as little drama as possible.
You should look into DNA testing your kids. I doubt it has stopped if she has been in contact with this guy for this long. If things pan out to be true, she also need to cut contact with the friends and anyone else who knew and partaked in coping this cheating, as they are now enemies of your relationship. She is too, based off her lack of remorse, which also tells me she hasn't stopped.
The why is because she could and thought she could get away with it guilt-free. The question you should be asking is, how much has she lied to you since the affair? You discovered this a year ago? She instantly gaslighted, shown no remorse at all in a pretending to forget about having an affair with this specific guy. Her brushing it off makes it seem like she's had more that one AP. What has she done to help you be secure in your relationship? How have you confirmed she's not been having affairs since? Do you have access to her passwords technology? She's still in contact with the AP? Did you contact AP? The friends that encouraged the infidelity are still in her life? They should not be allowed if she's trying to build a healthy relationship with you.
Have you gotten your children DNA tested to show you have no trust in her? Have you spoken to a lawyer about how divorce would look? Gotten finances in order? Have you demanded a post-nuptial agreement with a fidelity clause? Demanded a disclosure letter, timeline letter? Made her confess to her, your families about her adultery? It seems you're trying to do so much and she's doing. She a narcissist? How has she shown no empathy for the pain she's caused? You should at least speak to a lawyer to see what divorce would look like for you, kids. There is no way her behavior of you is good for your children. According to OP, the wife has garbage friends. What is the chance that nights out with those scumbags were innocent nights of a dinner, a few drinks and then back home?
Listen to this please.
There is absolutely no such thing as at least, not the way movies and TV portray it. Reasoning with a cheater is akin to putting your head in a blender.
Not sure if it's a coincidence or karma. Call it what you want. But all of them are single, unhappy and lonely with multiple failed relationships. Absolutely not. I would have left that day and never spoken with her again.
Greater than not sure if it's a coincidence or karma. Call it what you want. But all of them are single, unhappy and lonely with multiple failed relationships. This is not a coincidence. They actively sabotage each other's relationships. Women like this encourage each other to cheat, and to constantly look for the greener grass. They will always denigrate you behind your back to your wife, and encourage her to do the same. They are a toxic presence, and honestly, for any married couple, the wife's single friends are often the biggest threat to their marriage.
Definitely no coincidence. They have values which translates to having relationships. And, like crabs in a bucket, they were more than happy to pull your wife down with them.
Then it sounds like she will be in good company.
Agreed.
This is so true and sad. Men are just as bad. They want to make sure they have some dirt on each other, otherwise they aren't safe. So we'll actively drag them into some sort of pickle, whether that's lap dance, hookers or cheating. There's a well-known saying about judging people by those they share their company with.
I understand you wanting nothing to do with these people, but your wife cutting contact with anyone who encouraged her cheating should also have been a condition for reconciliation.
Greater than this is so true and sad. Greater than men are just as bad. They want to make sure they have some dirt on each other, otherwise they aren't safe. So we'll actively drag them into some sort of pickle, whether that's lap dance, hookers or cheating. Greater than there's a well-known saying about judging people by those they share their company. Of my friends that I chose to spend any time with ever exhibited that behavior. But we did cut 1 or 2 guys out of our friend group back home when we started to see that kind of behavior. You hang around the kind of people who are closer to what you want to be like in your life, you know.